live. Yeah, maybe today we can have a debrief of our DevCon show. Yeah, it was a lot of fun there. So I think Venkat was there, and then I was there.
But
Sachin was also there. So basically, like I spent 1.5 days.
just a second, what is DevCon? What exactly is
Okay.
DevCon?
So
Yeah.
DevCon is the largest Ethereum conference or
Okay.
gathering of people who work in the Ethereum ecosystem, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it happens every 2 years. Last in 2022, it was in Bogota, and now it was in Bangkok, Thailand. So it happens every 2 years, and it's really huge. 12,500 people, people from different
Wow.
companies, all different. It's huge, quite huge. So, and different. You don't need to be a technical person to attend it. So there was a lot of marketing people. People just want to make connections. A lot of developers. So it was on 3 floors of the entire conference venue, and the lower floor was basically food and relaxation. It's like worth going to one of the Ethereum events. uh, it's a different vibe there. It's not the usual conferences you go to. So it's, you have like a lot of chilling places. So there was a decompression room where you could just sleep for like for and then yeah, there was a music stage, and then the food stall. The food was really great. Generally the food at Ethereum events tends to be good. And then yeah, there was a lot of stages in which there are like continuously, so you cannot basically see everything. So you have to pick and choose what you want to do. So there is like L2 layer, L1 basic protocols, and app layer infrastructure. There are just common booths. There is co-working space there where you can just hang around and like work on your Ethereum projects. So Venkat and I were basically in the co-working space where we were showing our robot. Yeah, so that was like a brief overview. And there is a similar event called Dev Connect that also happens every 2 years. So last year it was in Istanbul where Venkat and I were there. So it's a little smaller than DevCon, but
Mm-hmm.
it's more. I think Dev Connect is more like developers go there with less of the other companies and marketing people. But DevCon is like where everybody just gathers. Yeah.
Why is it called that?
So,
Developer conference. I don't know, but it's basically not a developer conference anymore. It's like a crypto, like huge crypto event.
Hmm.
12,500 people.
It's also specific to Ethereum, or is it about?
Yeah, it's well. So when that happens, there are also specific side events. People organize their own events on the sides of it. So there were like 800 side events besides this. So like a
how
lot of
many?
crypto,
How
800,
many?
800.
How do you deal
Yeah,
with that?
it's basic. Like, but those were independently organized. So like when DevCon happens, a lot of other crypto projects organize their own gatherings around in the same city, but around that location.
Hmm.
So like there is some companies organizing their events, and yeah, basically like Vitalik Buterin was, I think, giving talks every hour or so, like for 3 4 days. Like I just saw him giving keynotes everywhere. So like there is lots. Yeah, it's just huge. It's basically they have a specific app to deal with this, and then you can choose, yeah, which events you want to attend, and then it will generate a calendar for you. Okay, this is the place you want to go. So I was also volunteering there for the event. So the organization basically behind this conference is like around, we were like 350 volunteers, uh, like organizing the events, and then a huge amount of effort goes into
Yeah.
organizing this. But I think Ethereum
And
Foundation like supports, I think, financially to some extent, and then yeah, the ticket price is also a little higher compared to other conferences. It was
how
around
do how does
650. Yeah,
how
go
does
on.
blockchain figure into the management of the conference?
So Ethereum Foundation helps in organizing this, right? So
No, I mean
it's,
physically, it gives you a schedule on blockchain. I don't know. But
uh, I don't think it was on a blockchain. It was just a progressive web app that the team, some volunteer team had developed. So it had also some AI integrated into it, so you could just ask the AI chatbot, okay, which event is this one, and then show me all the related events. So basically, Venkat was organizing some workshop there related to the Summer of Protocols, and then you could just say, okay, show me all the events related to Summer of Protocols, and then it will show all the related
hmm.
events related to that.
So even blockchain conferences are on the AI hype train.
Uh, yeah, kind of. But I think like what we had, it was quite unique there. Everybody was just surprised what we were doing. Like nobody has seen what something like that in a crypto conference. So I like you just keep your robot there and people would gather around. Okay, what the hell is going on here? So it was just interesting to see people's reaction like to what we are actually doing, because most of the people do some software or like they have never seen or anything with hardware before, like people doing something like this. And when they saw like, okay, what is this, what is happening here, so we would just sit there and then people would approach us to know what we were doing. So it was quite nice to see that reaction.
Was there general knowledge of using Farcaster?
They had a booth there, so the first day when it was partially working, even then people were interested to know. So they had invited us to their booth.
Mhm.
So the first day, I think when they had a booth for 2 days. The first day I couldn't figure out. I had some problems. I will tell that later on. But on the second day, I solved that. Second day I solved that problem, and then I went to their booth. So they were giving out like setting up accounts for. So in general, people know what Farcaster is in like at least in the Ethereum community. People know because like and then we would ask people like to control this robot you need a Farcaster frame, and then basically they would know. So the social media is Farcaster is like quite spreading, at least in the crypto community. It's
Yeah. But so were the Farcaster people impressed with the use of like actual use of frame? Like I guess I haven't seen that many interesting frame
I think
examples.
there are like these token bots now coming up, and this which are basically you can also mint some NFTs, but and then there is some payment frames, and then you have these reading frames. Basically, if you go paste a paragraph .xyz link, it's like a blockchain based publication platform. It's called Paragraph.
Uh,
So they have some integration with Farcaster Frame. So if you post the paragraph link inside as a cast, it will automatically become a frame, and then you can read it within the app. So it doesn't. You don't need to like open the link in an outside browser to view it. So it automatically generates the frame for you. So have you used Telegram?
Telegram, yeah,
Yeah, so they have this concept of mini apps, right? In
yeah.
Telegram. So it's partially similar to that. So, but it's not as full fledged as Telegram mini app. But I think they are moving towards it. So there is some draft specification for a mini app, but it seems that will tend to be something like what you have already on Telegram. That you have like an app inside an app, and then you can do a lot of interactive stuff with it.
but you don't have these things in Forecaster.
Mm, you
Mini app.
have frames, but it's only one way. So
Yeah, so I'm
I
saying you
don't
don't
think,
have mini apps.
yeah, you have frames, but you don't have many. But they have a draft specification now. I saw Varun posting something related to that. So it's in the draft stage, but how far it will go, I don't know, and what kind it will be and what it will support. We have to see. So like, yeah, I'll try to remember. So the first day I was having problems with the Wi-Fi. So there's a lot of 2.5 gigahertz devices there. And it's really hard to get the Wi-Fi on 2.5 gigahertz working like without problems, because it gets jammed and then your small device wouldn't be found. Then you
It's
need
all the
kind of
worst. All the
yeah.
worst devices are stuck on 2.4 too.
Yeah, and
Elsewhere.
then you basically need a laptop class device with that power to have a like Wi-Fi without problems. And like the distance with to which your robot could go had like drastically reduced. So I had to keep. So I was using a hotspot from my phone because it I couldn't find. So first I tried with the Wi-Fi on the venue itself, but like my devices would never. I was not able to ping my devices, and then I was just using my hotspot from my phone, and the distance had like drastically and I would have to keep my phone nearby in a visible range, otherwise it wouldn't find the device. And then the other first I was trying to use my DigitalOcean server, which is connected on the VPN, the tailscale net, the tailnet, and I had subnet route on my RPi, which were like advertising the ESP32 IPs. But I didn't know that like if you have tailscale on and if you have subnetting on, like once you once you remove the RPi from that device, even though the devices are on the same network, the frame server wouldn't find the devices. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like it always
Don't get
needs
what?
that subnet router if you have like tailscale on. So the traffic, once you have subnetted it, it will always go through that tailnet. So I couldn't figure this out for
Oh,
like
so
almost
it was trying to find it on your home network
no. So I
where the
had a
routes were.
yeah. So I have a local hotspot from my phone, right?
Yeah.
And then I had the subnetting on the RPi, and then I was trying to connect the DigitalOcean server, right? And but later on, what I wanted to do was I wanted to, instead of the DigitalOcean server, I wanted to run the server on my own local computer. So the ESP32, my local computers were on the same network. But if you have tailscale with subnetting on, and if you then I just shut down the Raspberry Pi because I didn't need the DigitalOcean server. But like my computer couldn't find the
Yeah.
ESP32 even though they're on the same network with tailscale on. So it basically grabs that traffic and then tries to route through that. So I couldn't figure this out for a day. And then I thought, okay, our demo is totally gone. And then in the evening, I thought, okay, let me shut down Tailscale too and then see. Because in the evening, I came to the hotel room and then I tried connecting it again. Initially, I thought it was the venue Wi-Fi problem. So like then I
It
thought, okay,
wasn't.
I'll try it at the hotel. And at the hotel also, it didn't work. And then I realized, okay, there is something wrong. And then I just shut down Tailscale and then it started working. So that was like a major hurdle that it took me like 1.5 days to figure out. But luckily, on the second day when Parkcaster still had a booth, I figured it out. And then I didn't have Venkat's rover. Venkat was busy on that day, so I just had like one rover and partially working. And then I just took it there to like talk with those people, and then just people were okay. What is this? What is this? Like they were really excited to play with it. So that was nice to see. And
That's awesome.
yeah, and then
Congrats on getting that working. I thought the network problem was probably going to be the
yeah, it
worst
was
one.
like I was really frustrated because like previous weekend I didn't sleep. Like I was there is always be some problem here and there, and I was just like before just the weekend before leaving, I didn't sleep properly. Like I slept like 3 or 4 hours trying to fix all the problems. And then if after all this it didn't work at the venue itself, I would be really pissed. But yeah, like
And
I figured it out, and yeah.
so you didn't try out exactly that setup before?
I tried it, but like I always tried it with a DigitalOcean server.
Okay.
And then like there was some reason that I had to shut down the DigitalOcean server. Yeah, I was having some Wi-Fi problems, and then I thought, okay, like let me try it with the local, and then it all this mix of the DigitalOcean server and my local server with Tailscale on, I think caused the problem.
Yeah.
Well, you still don't. So you still don't know why you were having problems originally. Like so,
It didn't. It
wait. So
never
the
worked on
Telnet,
the
the
a
subnet
venue
router
Wi-Fi.
runs on the Raspberry Pi. Is that
Yeah.
right? And you
Yes.
had that also on your hotspot.
Yes. So my iPhone is connected to the VPN, right? So my iPhone is also on the network, and the everything was on the tailnet. But if you have the subnetting on, and then if you remove that subnetting device like the RPi from the network, even though all your devices are on the same local Wi-Fi, they are not able to find each other.
Over the Telnet IPs.
No, I was using the local IPs, which the iPhone generates.
Oh, but they were being routed
Yes,
because the routes are
true.
being advertised
Yes,
as somewhere else. Yeah.
yeah. So even though I was using the local hotspot IPs, I was not able to ping them because Tailscale was picking that traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Networks, man.
Can't with them.
Ye-
Can't without them.
And yeah, then I had some problem with the payment gating. So the payment library, it's called Paybot. On it's like it generates a frame for you. So they had
Right.
given me a key, and then you uh, like hardcode or like generate the sender and the receiver of the transaction and which token you want to give and the amount, and then it will generate the transaction for you. And then once you have signed it with your private key or like from your wallet, it will like execute that or like get the confirmation from that transaction and like give a it has a callback which you can attach to a frame. So basically once it gets the confirmation that the transaction has gone through, it will call like the callback function, and then you can like serve the frame you want after the payment. So basically, it's like a gate which you can uh, use any token to get. So but that only works with the Farcaster ID or the Farcaster handle. It doesn't work with the FID, or at least I couldn't get it working. So initially, when I had it at home, I had like a default handle as my name, and then like I had the frame such that a user is clicking the button, you get the FID, not the handle. So I was using that FID to generate that payment gate, but it would always give me some error. And initially I didn't know, they had told me that it should either work with FID or the Farcaster handle, but it was not working for me with the FID. And then yeah, on the so what I did was basically I was like in the first day where I was on the Farcaster booth, I had like my phone always using the use always being used for signing the transaction and like for controlling the rover, because like it's only my phone that can sign that transaction for uh, passing through that payment gate. So I had to give my people my phone, and they were using my phone to control the rover. So on that day in the evening, I sat, and then what I did was use the Farcaster Python library, and then I used that library to get the Farcaster handle from the FID, which I was getting from the user when the user was clicking that button. So I solved that, and then basically I had then after that everything started working. So like now you can control two frames or two rovers with the frames. So it will give you an option, okay, which rover you want to control, and then it will handle the payment separately, the control separately. So everything works smoothly now. And what was the Venkat had a list of uh, problems we saw. So like one problem was I saw that like it the since the local host was not running on HTTPS, it would give a small warning in a yellow color when you are going to sign the transaction in your wallet, and then people would be really like hesitant to sign the transaction with their own wallet. So that was something I saw, like people were not willing to like so easily sign some transaction if there is some warning in Farcaster, or because I didn't have the HTTPS on, so, and then it would give that warning. So that was something, yeah, we need to fix that HTTPS thing. And what else? So, uh, the camera was working, and then we made some small changes to the UI itself. There, after seeing the people how they are using it, so I had a stop button. We removed the stop button. The stop button now it's called a switch button, and switch button basically switches from like a turning and moving straight. But the one thing we saw that like the both our rovers don't go straight when you try to move it. So there is some like mechanical problem or like tolerance issues on the axis itself. So one, at least for me, it's quite clearly visible that one of the wheels is further away from the center than the other one. So when they are rotating at the same speed, it will go on a curve. So and Venkat's rover also had the same problem, but it's like a little less than me. So it's not like obvious as mine. It will always turn. There are like several ways to fix it. Like you could fix it in software. So if you have a camera facing something, you could get a feedback of where the camera is pointing, and then basically you could adjust the speed. So basically it's like a matter of adjusting the speed of the wheels, how each wheel is rotating, and then you could make it go in a straight line. But those are some like software issues that we can use. And yeah, the we need to fix that board now. So the plugin board is kind of temporary solution. We need to design a board that works on completely on 3.3 volts. So we can decide which controller to use. We don't need to use this Arduino ESP32. We can use the Freenove one. So I can design a board that uses the Freenove ESP32, and then yeah, we can get also some sensors on it. So I have at least one of the sensors working. So maybe I can design it so that it directly goes on the board. I had taken a GPS there, but yeah, like I didn't have time to integrate it there. But you have like I have a UART GPS. We can which spits out the GPS locations, so we can parse it and like, put it on the frame itself.
What UART GPS thing did you get?
So
Did you
I
say
went
that?
to buy some soldering cables, wires, and then they had a small €10 UART GPS.
Oh,
I don't know how. It's a U-Blocks a GPS module.
okay.
If you search UART U-Blocks GPS module.
Yep.
Venkat has it. So like if you are meeting him sometime, you can just, or he can send you a picture. I think if you go to that thread of Yakro or DevCon, it's there. It's called Neo 6M U-Blocks.
The Neo 6. Okay.
And
Is it a dev kit or just a?
well, it's the 6M is like a U-Blocks a module, and then I have a breakout board for it.
Okay. They have a couple different boards. Looks like.
Yeah. Yeah, so this was like a broad overview of what we had. Like basically now we could also have store the pictures on chain, like have data storage on the blockchain itself, and then you could have like a verified data gathering. There is this I don't know what it's called, but it's called WeatherXM. So it's like a decentralized blockchain-based weather station. I think like if you buy it, you get some sort of token or something. So they also sell the hardware for it. It could be something like that. But for us, it could be actually be moving around instead of a static weather station. So you could have like verified blockchain data with our rovers. And what else?
I think you need to push more of the pieces onto the rover itself to where like all it needs is to connect to Wi-Fi, and then it can find.
But I don't know how long we should we use keep using Wi-Fi. We should move to the like Quectel modem or some sort of what was the one Yasha was suggesting? There was something, right? The 4G thing. I forgot that company's name.
Yeah, the blue like Blue's
Uh,
wireless.
yeah,
one
so
that has-
some
yeah.
some sort of 4G network needs to be there on the rover itself.
Yeah, it's just the
Because, like,
problem. The problem with like the Blues wireless thing would never work for like interactive like video. Like it's just
okay.
the amount of bandwidth is so limited. I think that, like,
Okay, yeah, that's
I
the
don't
problem.
think
Right?
images would be tough. I think we can figure out how to do images, but it's like it's like
No,
contacting
but
Mars.
you could put 5G. Okay, why do you do a 4G? Put in 5G. The problem is different. When you have a Wi-Fi, you have a local network. You have protection against other attacks and so on.
It's
So
not
much
the
easier
I don't
to
think it's like
control.
a real limit on the cell modem. It's just that Blues wireless thing is just really
Right,
designed for IoT
cheap.
solution,
Okay,
cheap
so
like
it's specifically
sending
designed for IoT.
sensor readings
Well,
and
we
that
could
kind
do
of thing. Like
5G. 5G is for real-time, no delay video streaming. But I'm
yeah.
trying to
So I
imagine
think
how I use it at home. Okay, I'm sitting at home. I'm programming my robot. I'm trying to test it. That's inconvenient.
I think that also the key to their development thing is like you buy the device, the hardware, and it's got the SIM and a certain amount of bandwidth and everything built in as part of their service,
Hmm.
as opposed to like some lower level device that you're going to buy a SIM card and pop in and get data. Like that's probably more the route that one would have to take to do something like this.
But
Like you're
there
gonna have
are
to have
like,
something that you could pop a SIM card into, and then you're good to go as long as you have
yeah, I
a SIM
think
card with
like
data.
Quectel modems, we can use our own SIM card with our own data plan. So that way,
Yeah,
basically, we could use like high bandwidth. But it needs to have a 4G connection. Otherwise, it's like if you are even in a city environment with lots of 2.5 gigahertz devices, like I was having problems. You cannot have like a decent demo unless you are like isolating. So there was a hacker space kind of setup there, but they strictly were not allowing hotspots there. So they said no personal hotspots allowed there. So like you would have to create something like that if you want to operate on Wi-Fi. Yeah, but I have seen at least one ESP32 dev kit with 5 gigahertz, but it's not available anywhere. It's a RISC-V core. It's called dev ESP32 C5. It's like a single core RISC-V with 2.5 and 5 gigahertz radio module. So I was trying to see if I can buy that, but it's not available anywhere. So that is another option we have. And yeah, at least I've never seen, because like there are also other protocols on 2.5 gigahertz like Bluetooth and what is this other thing? The IoT protocol. There's some other protocols also working. IoT protocols also working on 2.5 gigahertz, and everything on 2.5 gigahertz is just like uh, doesn't work. Make
So
it work properly.
at the conference, if I remember correctly, like you have to start the rover and then you're reading an IP address off the serial. Is that how, like
Yeah.
you don't?
So Well,
Because it's
I already
DHCP and the Wi-Fi, right? You don't know what the IP is going to be. You have to read that somewhere.
yeah. So I spit it out on the serial port when the ESP32 boots.
And so,
So
was it
yeah,
connecting to Wi-Fi and getting an IP address? You just couldn't talk to it.
yes, yeah. So I could connect to the venue Wi-Fi. I could get an IP. But then I was
See, I
trying
just
to ping.
wonder if these big corporate Wi-Fi installations they actually do some crazy routing where like they don't want people's devices talking to other people's devices. Like they
But
want like
okay,
you can talk to the internet and that's it.
okay, okay. I didn't know that was possible. I was just trying to ping
Yeah,
my devices, and
yeah.
then the
I
local
think
network.
I would not be shocked if that was like a technology in use in like big conferences like that,
Okay.
which sucks, especially for a decentralized technology conference. That's really goes against the principles. But so I guess my question would be like, well, maybe the ESP32s are actually fine in that environment. It's just that like you need to be able to communicate out. You can't be trying to like route a connection into
Mm,
the rover, and so at least replace like a big layer of complexity. Like you do, and then you would have to care what the IP address is. Like you just connect it, and then it connects to the cloud and can start receiving
mm,
commands. That might be more resilient.
yeah. But yeah, we need to figure out a good way about the networking in general. Like, and it depends on the payload the rover has. So like the Blues wireless could be used in the rovers which don't have like a camera or something. So if they just have sensor, small sensor, then wireless could be used. But if they have
Yeah.
like a camera, then we need to figure out what sort of modem we want to use there. Yeah. So we have at least like Venkat and I were thinking of applying to the summer of protocols next summer to have like a rover protocol for 3 months, or it's like a summer project, and then we could basically draft just a specification of the rover protocol. Then people, if they want, they could build on the protocol itself. So we don't, and then we can have like a reference design. So basically how Ethereum works, Ethereum basically has like a protocol specification, and then different people implement their own. Some people implement it in Go, or some people implement in Rust. So they just provide the specification, and then others implement, and then they have some reference implementations, which basically Ethereum Foundation supports. And yeah, so they next year
How
they
does
all.
the protocol connect to Ethereum? I don't explain like I'm five or something. Like what's the what are we talking about when we're
So
talking about a protocol?
uh so it's basically right now there are two ways it connects to. One is for just for the transaction, so it's using a stable USDC stable coin as a payment gate. So that is one way it interacts with the blockchain itself. As a decentralized way to a payment gate the rover, but it doesn't need to be like a payment gate. It could be any token holder. So let's say we have a YaRG token, so anybody with a YaRG token could be using a rover. So you don't need a centralized server to verify that somebody is holding a YaRG token. So anybody who has minted or who has been given that token, so that is one way it basically interacts with the blockchain. And the other way was the social distribution itself on Web3. So we didn't have to make a UI to control the rover, right? So it was running on a decentralized social network, uh, verified on layer 2 with Farcaster. Farcaster runs on Optimism, which is a layer 2 network. And then the FID or the user is authenticated on the blockchain but the data is stored off chain. I don't know the exact technicalities how of the Farcaster protocol, but it's like a layer 2 based on optimism. And then I think it's a roll up based. Roll up is like I think they bunch up the transactions and then only send the bunched up transactions to the layer 1. So it's like on different parts the stack is interacting with the Ethereum blockchain, but mostly for like user authentication and then payment. Right now payment getting, but you could easily extend this, but this was like a limitation of the frames itself. But if you want to extend this to a verified data, so like you could get the data from the rover onto the blockchain itself, and then like the rover doesn't have to store it. So that way, like a distributed network of rovers could store the data.
And so when you define a protocol, you're making decisions about,
How the interactions and the interfaces would be, or like let's say
yeah, like
we say
which
like
parts are on the chain, and if they
yeah,
are, what they look like.
yes,
Yeah.
something like that. So yeah, this is like just an idea which we like we were discussing in that Yak Rover at DevCon thread. Like we could like draft the specifications and then people could implement whatever they want. So we are not restricting the implementations. We are just specifying the protocol itself. It's like let's say I2C, right? I2C is just a protocol. It was initially drafted by Philips, but now it's like everybody uses it, and then yeah, people do their own hardware implementations or software implementations of it. So we could basically like have like a blockchain based rover protocol, and then if people want to use that, put the rovers on there, people could use it. Something like what Helium is doing for Wi-Fi, right? Helios or Helium. So they are doing it for specific hardware or like specific, let's say, uh, Wi-Fi hotspot or some or devices. There is something called token. I don't know. I don't know if it's layer 1 or layer 2, but they are mostly geared towards autonomous cars. So they give you a hardware which you plug into your car, and then there is some data being stored on the blockchain, and then you get rewarded for sharing that data. So they specify the SDK, well, protocol, and they provide like reference SDKs, and then if you want, you could connect your own car to that network. And yeah, it could be something similar to that. And then yeah, I think Venkat knows someone called Josh Stark. I think he works for the Ethereum Foundation, and then he had written a science fiction story like 8 years ago, something about a drone. That the drone is like the science fiction story is called this one owns itself. So like the smart contract of the drone makes initially it's like a public good held by different people, and after a certain while the all the payments are done, and then the drone is the owner of itself, and then the drone goes to different places, and then you could have a charging station in your backyard with a QR code. The drone would come and scan that QR code and charge itself and give some payment to the owner of that charging station and make that payment, and then yeah, like go on its way. It's like and this can happen without any centralized uh, party operating any server or something, completely on the blockchain. So that could be one application. So like what we are doing has like a lot of applications in IoT and rover stuff. And when Venkat and I were having lunch, there was we met a guy. At least he said he was worked in SoftBank CEO office. I don't know how much true is that, but like yeah, if you guys, he was in Tokyo. I think he lives in Tokyo, and yeah. So he was an interesting guy. He was asking, and then he asked if you want some investment or not. Yeah. And what else?
Rolling back
Yeah.
a little, I'm sorry, just one question, about using the Blue network, but which is for IoT in particular. I was wondering that instead of sending images, it would need to send some kind of MPEG-4 MPEG-4 stream, okay, but not at a high FPS, basically, okay, at a very slow one, okay. So why such kind of protocol? Because the MPEG families of protocol, how they work, basically, that they send only the data of what changes, basically. It's like working on diffs between frames, okay. And so at on the robot, it could be running at I don't know, 10 frames per second or 20 or whatever, but send at a much slower speed back to the user. Okay. I wonder whether that would not help on running on a network like the Blue network. Okay. So there is this idea, and I was checking a technology that I'd like to use but never had a chance. It's called event cameras. Okay, but apparently it's not that. It's still pretty experimental, apparently. So, but just if you don't know event cameras, it's pretty interesting how they work, basically. Okay, I have this link. Sure. But first, there are scripts, there are protocols again. Okay, like the one from Apple. How is it called? For video streaming. Okay. I forgot the name. Anyway, you have protocols like that where basically you have many libraries in Python and so on supporting it. Wonder whether it wouldn't be an idea to look at having a low bandwidth usage. Okay, supposedly, yeah. So event cameras are different IDs. Their formal name is a bit strange. It's a neuromorphic cameras or something like that.
Yeah.
So the thing that they don't send images, okay? They just send each pixel is a kind of autonomous entity, and each pixel is silent by default, send 0 by default, or will send the change in brightness when there is, okay? And so I'm not sure, but with such kind of technology, perhaps any bandwidth requirement would be most likely lower, okay? Especially if we don't care too much about frame rates, okay? But it's not made for images for TV, for example, okay? It's more vision for robots, basically, okay? So not sure this technology fits, but still, if you don't know, it's pretty looking forward what is coming out of this, basically.
Yeah.
So how expensive are these? Never heard about them.
Yeah, so I guess they are expensive right now.
Okay.
It's like LiDARs. Okay, when the LiDARs boomed, it was easily you would get a cheap one for $1,000, right? Okay, and a few years later it was just $10, right? For this,
5,000
I know
euros.
it must be expensive. I remember that Sony made an announcement like last year. Okay, so some kind of progress with event cameras, and Sony usually it's not cheap. Okay.
Yeah, but the readout circuitry must be very complex because each pixel you can read out and give the exact timing.
But the thing that it's a trading complexity for flexibility here. Okay.
I mean, I'm comparing it to CCD, where the whole idea was that the readout was very simple because you read out an entire row at a time, bit by bit.
But I guess for a CCTV anyway, the operational environment is different because it's usually on the LAN network, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I'm interested in event cameras in the context of robotics in particular. Okay, it's still experimental kind of technology, so not really looking into it, but could be pretty interesting. But it's definitely
I've never heard of this. This is interesting.
It's definitely not for scale. yet. Okay, CCTV is more like using well-known technologies, okay, and that can be produced at scale, okay, and they don't care about network requirements. They just assume that they will be connected on a LAN or whatever, okay, aside being connected to the electric grid, basically, right?
This is interesting.
So with the flexibility of what's supposed to be done with an event camera, because but it's pretty wild now what we could do with that, basically. You know?
So are these used in these speeding cameras?
The ceiling
I'm
cameras.
just wondering. Yeah,
Well,
are
let's see
they
how much.
something like this?
Hmm.
You
The
mean
one, the one
360?
link I could find for a camera is a 404. Oh wait. Only the commercial rate, or actually, the commercial rate is only 4,400 euros.
Why? What's this? There's a company called Allied Vision.
Oh wait, how do I?
Okay, I found 5,000 euro.
So you guess what? Christmas is close enough, isn't it?
And you get a 346 by 260 resolution.
Yeah, and so you see, we can compare that, for example, to thermal camera sensors like the FLIR or FLIR, okay?
Yeah.
Those ones, you can buy for easily for some kind of dev kit, but then you get like I don't remember. It's 80 pixel by 80 pixel, and the most expensive one is 160 by 160. Okay. Beyond that, suddenly it's the price bumps a lot. Okay, and if you buy FLIR devices, not just the lens, but the FLIR device, they are quite expensive, and I think I looked at that a few years ago, and it was not easy to interface with it, basically to get the data, like an API or an SDK. So it really looks like specialized vision sensors basically seem to be like expensive toys.
I have to wonder, like, if you were to just buy one online, does someone like wake up somewhere in a warehouse? They're like, "I'm sorry, they ordered what? Do they know what they're ordering?" No one's ever ordered one of these before.
Yeah, most likely, yeah. But what is most likely that only research labs order that now. Okay.
Yeah, it's like LiDARs 10, 15 years ago, it seems.
Exactly.
They
Yes.
were, yeah.
And so here, at some point, there may be an inflection point, but when is it? Okay? And for what industry? The LiDAR was for the self-driving cars. Okay. And apparently there is no market for self-driving cars quite yet. Okay. Still.
No, it's for little robots that vacuum your house.
Okay, yes, for vacuum cleaners, yes, indeed, they added that. But I don't know, it seems that a lot of people just are not charmed by these extra, just the bumper-based Roomba. It's like well, super enough for most people, and half the price, basically, okay? So, right? But the application for LiDAR, the starter was the self-driving car, okay? For event cameras, I'm not sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if something in robotics, basically. Okay, that can be something pretty cool. That if someone is excited, is to buy one of those cameras and to start making, Python wrappers and so on, to explore them, to see their potential, to see what can be done. Okay, because you see, I'm simplifying a lot, but the sensor is basically a grid of independent pixels, whatever that means.
Right.
Mean that we have degrees of freedoms, okay? And we can apparently do a lot with that, okay? That's if we think in terms of vision, that's pretty cool because I have no idea because I never used, okay, but some wild ideas about having multiple attention at the same time, okay? A robot could do that, to keep track of several things at the same time, like chasing 2 rabbits at the same time could be done with a robot, okay? Or tracking visually. Huh? While for us, it's super hard because we don't have control of each of our, let's say, eye pixel, okay? If to simplify the discussion. I don't know. It's just for me. I was looking at that for today, just in the frame of discussion of the blue, the blue network. Okay, for IoT robotics. You see, there is some correlation here, perhaps, and perhaps one way, to decide what data get through the network. Okay, but then it's also a case we know through data streaming. Okay, this is what MPEG. Okay, and there is also Google's AV1 streaming protocol. Okay, that may be interesting to look into. Okay.
I just wanted to show this page. It seems a little bit more easier to understand than Wikipedia, but it's equivalent to 10,000 frames per second.
Because each pixel gives you when the second it changes.
It's immediately when it changes, yeah, or with 1 millisecond, like less than a millisecond of latency. Yeah, that's fascinating.
The dynamic range also is quite impressive. Huh?
So what is the application for this? Is it a normal camera? Or
I think it was for like, there's a section on self-driving car, automotive.
okay, low latency HDR vision for slam and tracking.
Anti-blur on the mobile applications. Anti-blur, how would that work?
No, maybe as like a component of a vision system. Like you also.
Did you see they have on their website an example of what a blurred image looks like because you have low exposure, and then when you use neuromorphic information, you can de-blur it.
Okay.
Because you know what changed when, so you
Yes.
can.
So anyway, really looking forward for that. But you see, 10K frame second FPS. Yeah, it's likely that it's because of the very fine, so pixel level selectivity of the data we use basically. Okay, and so I'm not sure they mentioned anything about. Okay, they mentioned at the top reduced data rates. Okay.
Yep.
Given that now everyone is moving to 5G and so on, it doesn't seem like people really care about how much data goes through the pipes. Okay, but it might be something. Yeah.
But it's also about the radio and power, right? So the more you have the radio on, then more power you are consuming.
Right.
So you cannot have this camera and high bandwidth modem on every rover. It has to be like something which can sustain that.
But because you're assuming that this camera sends more data. But that's not my impression.
No, I'm just talking about the normal camera. But this, I don't know if you want to use it. It's already quite expensive.
You see,
weren't you just talking about raising money from SoftBank?
No, I don't know. Like there are lots of people like that. I don't know if that guy was really joking or something.
We're looking at the price right now, but remember LiDARs, okay? Some of you bought a 10 euro LiDAR recently. That was not possible 5 years ago, okay?
Oh, yeah. Hold on.
Well, its actual cost is around $65, not 10.
But at some point, it was a 10 euro at some point, right?
Yeah, I think it was on sale or something.
Yeah.
No, sorry, not here yet.
Let me try event camera as a keyword because that's
okay.
a common word. Okay, neuromorphic is like is a tongue twister. Okay,
event is much better.
Maybe not.
Well, this is a different kind of event, I guess.
Oh yeah, it is indeed an event camera, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, but anyway, it's definitely still it's like the FLIR. Okay, the FLIR exists for for so many the decade more. Okay, hypertension maybe was just for a decade, and it's still super expensive, right? I mean, if you buy the dev kit, it's like $50 the 8080. Okay, and the 160 by 160 is more expensive, I think. Just the sensor.
Yeah, remember, there were companies that detected time of flight cameras that measure time of flight for each pixel. So that's not exactly an event camera, but it is related.
This time of flight? What do you mean by that?
It means that when I take a picture of you, I can detect the reflection from your nose and the reflection from your cheek as coming to the camera at different times.
Oh.
Okay. Now they use a flash
Yeah.
of light. Yeah. I mean, it's active. It's not passive. But they used to have cameras like that, and obviously a camera like that also has, individual pixels.
Is that the camera that was like, you could change the focus afterwards?
No,
Because you had, or is that
no,
a different
no,
thing? Okay.
no. This is, like I said, in that way, it's very easy to distinguish you from your background. Of course, today we have algorithms which appear to do it very well. Well, except for this. Sorry.
Yeah, and yeah, I forgot one thing. So there was this girl on the Farcaster booth. So the Dan Remore and Varun basically have this grant going on. So they will give 10 apps, Farcaster frame apps, 50,000 retro grants. So I don't know. At least we should try to apply there. Probably will not get it because it's based on mostly the criteria is usage, how many people use your frame, but we could just apply there and see.
No, it's hardware too. Okay.
Well, yeah, I don't know. At least we don't have many users, but the people who are using it were really excited to use it.
Yeah, so it's it's maybe special price for the inspirational.
Yeah, we'll see. Let's see. Like, I'll just apply there and see.
Cool.
The camera I was thinking of was called the Lytro, which is a light field camera.
Oh yeah, yeah. But by the way, Anuraj, congratulations for the demo, because it's always quite an adventure.
Yeah, but like, yeah, I couldn't have fixed it without like Red Self because I couldn't fix that image problem for like 3-4 months. And yeah, so that was
the
a
caching
huge help.
UID
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Basically, like if you are serving it with a different name, the image name has to be different every time. Otherwise, Farcaster doesn't pick it up. So if you serve it with the same name, it will use the same cached image before.
But that's fair enough, right? On
On their part, yes, but it's not obvious. So basically, what I did was write the image file every time with a new name, with the UUID attached in the name itself.
Let's call that a tip. Let's call that a tip from web developers.
That's right.
When we are doing web development in Offer, it always shows up basically. Okay, when you're using CDNs and all that. Okay, because I think the solution was to put kind of timestamp, right? Or an e-tag or whatever.
I think you just randomly put UUIDs on it, right?
UUIDs.
Throw UUID on it, it'll be fine.
Yes. But we should extend this further and so I have some code now, and then we should try to separate the Farcaster part a little bit away from the stack, and then we could have some other front end too, like a browser based stuff. And then we could extend this a lot further now. Because people would use it, I'm definitely sure. You should have seen the reactions of people there, what we are doing. So if we extend this, I'm sure there would be some people willing to use it.
Right.
Cool. All right, I gotta drop off.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you all for your time.
Yeah.
See you
okay.
Glad you had fun.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.